The true test of a person is if they have the ability to adapt. Only a strong, curious survivor takes what's given to them and able to make it work in their favor. Those that can't keep up fall by the wayside. But for my guest today, adapting, changing, creating, and thriving are his specialties. It's no wonder that his latest project is such a success. I'm Patrick Marano, and this is Queerly Us. Now, before we begin, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss an episode. Born to Mennonite parents on a farm in Dalton, Ohio, my guest today leaves the farm in 1986, bounces around from Akron to Cleveland to San Diego, finally landing in Los Angeles, which has been his home ever since. Professionally, after 21 years of working in the food service industry, his porn career began at the tender age of 40 as a model for Treasure Island Media. Now, with over 200 studio scenes under his belt, he's made the leap into the Just for Fans and OnlyFans space. But maybe the jewels in the crown are his unique and ever-expanding sex parties, Fornication. Please welcome to Queerly Us, Ray Dalton. Ray!
Hello.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
It's good to talk to you.
Yes, you as well. You're a Mr. Busy Man, going all over town.
Yeah,
all over town. Right?
I do nonstop. As I said to you earlier, it's like the world is my home. That's actually where I'm most comfortable.
I think I think with people working remotely now, it's very much a trend to be doing that. So you're very on trend.
True.
I want to start at the beginning because very interesting, your childhood, growing up with Mennonite parents. How does that shape a young Ray Dalton?
Very much. One of the things as a life coach that I talk about all the time is how important parenting is. Because those years shape the DNA and the grooves in our brain. So for me, it was simplicity. It was like I can't tell a lie to save myself.
Okay.
Being honest. And the other is, of course, then mixed in with all this good and also community. That's where I'm so strong on community, because we were raised in a community that took care of each other. In fact, that was one of the things. We were so poor that occasionally the deacon would hand my mama some money to pay rent. So there's that emotion. Okay, here we go.
Oh God, he's crying already. We're only 2 minutes in.
Get ready. So also mixed with that was the guilt and the wondering, as I got old enough to actually think about the church and religion and hellfire and brimstone and being saved and all that kind of stuff. I remember starting to wonder, I don't want to be at home with mom. I don't want to be at home with Paul, my oldest brother, alone, because they might pull me aside and ask me if I want to be saved, that kind of stuff. That's the environment of being raised in a born-again Christian Mennonite home. Having said that, for me, that's about that much of that much. And so as an adult, I've been able to work through that and put most of that behind me. And I cling to and grow those other parts. So my story about being a nomad and traveling on the road is when my oldest sister got married and had a baby. I was 6 years old, and there's 8 of us. My oldest brother had gone ahead to Oklahoma to go see my sister Effie and the first baby, niece or nephew, Yolanda, was born. He got in the Dodge Polaris station wagon and drove from Ohio to Oklahoma. And I never forgot the wonder, the beauty, the difference of background that I had never experienced before. Not background, but scenery. And that was where I got the lust for being on the road. I will never forget being in Mississippi on the way we Mennonited ourselves around. So the first night we drove from Ohio to Mississippi and stayed at a Mennonite family's home. And I never forgot looking at the driving down the street and looking out the back seat of the car and seeing the shacks of where the black people lived, and just seeing them on the front porch and like that was so different from me as a Mennonite farm boy, and just so curious about what is their life like. And I've never it just impressed on me. So anyhow, so then being on that road trip basically planted that seed.
Yeah. How old were you, little Ray, when he discovered, oh, I'm gay, or different?
Well, for the first time when I was 6, but that was one of those things that you just shove back,
Yeah.
And it was after I had joined church at 17 and a half. By the time 18 and a half came along, I realized I was a revival Christian.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
And I said, I can't do this anymore.
Did you say hypocrite?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Like, oh, this is what we call a hypocrite.
Yeah.
When you say one thing and believe or actually do another.
Right. Like a Republican. Oh, sorry, this is not a political show. So were you accepting of yourself, and you were fine with that, and you were just like, I just can't be part of this community because they have different values than who I am?
Yeah, because being raised Mennonite, I don't know that it was ever outwardly talked against homosexuality.
Mm.
When it is openly talked about, and to me, as the minister or my brother acted as my father, because my mother didn't, there was no father in the home, so
Okay.
my filled in as father. They would say to me, masturbation is a sin.
Oh, wow.
So that was enough of a message that I knew homosexuality was a sin as well.
Yeah, I guess so. It's not a big leap to put that together. Wow.
I love making sense of things, and that just connected that way.
So you're free, you're on your own, you're doing the landscapes, you're changing, you're going around. I want to know about, because 21 years in food service is a long time.
It is.
Tell me about what prompted the change at 40 to get into porn.
Well, I want to go back to when I was discovering that I was gay. Because it's pertinent to what I'm currently.
Okay.
My first true, honest to God, gay sexual experience was in Canton, Ohio, at the adult bookstore.
Ah, of course. Yeah.
Circle now, I'm about to open an adult bookstore.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to pull that through thread, and that I
Full circle
goes through there.
And in a time when adult bookstores are closing, it's nice to hear of one that's opening.
Yes. Yes. And so that's pertinent to taking myself to to really get the foundation to your question. Well, what's a 8th grade degree ex-Mennonite farm boy?
Yeah.
What job can he get at 18?
Yeah.
Food industry. So I started as a busboy at Chi-Chi's Restaurants and the Wine Merchant Restaurant in Akron, Ohio. And I discovered my love for restaurant work, and I loved it. Did it for ultimately more than 25 years. It was, because then I worked in catering and such like that. But I love the industry, the fast paced, the go-go, the friendly. You have to be sharp. I love all that. Anticipating the customer's need. I love that.
Okay. So what's the change about?
So the change was in 2008 when the market crashed. And I went, oh, so 50% of my income's gone. I have to get resourceful. And by the way, I was working. I love this. I was working at Fox Studios in Century City, LA.
Oh, really?
Girls
got to work.
It was work, means to an end, right?
Yeah.
I was commissary as a waiter, waiting on, so
okay,
it was a really good job.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, so what have you always wanted to do that you've never been able to do or never actually tapped into? And what came up for me was porn.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I had become a professional photographer. And I
Okay.
had headshots for children models, doing headshots for kids. And I was like, I can't really do porn if I'm actually going to be making something like that. So I was like, nope, putting that over there for now. And that had ended, and there was nothing in the way. And I put out an application. Hey, you want to be a model on Treasure Island? And Paul Morris and Gino Sanchez actually had already scheduled that they were coming to Los Angeles for their very first out of town shoot. This is
Oh,
before Island ever went out of town. And I met them. I met with them. I did an interview, and Paul Morris said, "Take your shirt off." He saw my washboard abs, and he's like, "He's hired."
yeah. And you're in. So for folks that don't know, Treasure Island Media, they're based in Palm Springs, right?
San
San
Francisco.
Francisco?
Yeah.
Oh, San Francisco. Okay. And then it's always been bareback since the beginning, right?
Always.
Okay. Which back in 2008, I mean, today we have prep, we have all of these things in our tool belt, and they're more open about it's more accepted, etc. Back in my day, when I was working with Shishi LaRue, which is even predates 2008, it was like condoms were the option, and bareback was the fetish kind of, right, like the dark side fetish side of it.
Yeah.
So when you started at Treasure Island Media, it's bareback 2008. It's a little controversial, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And the premise was, don't treat us like children. Let us be adults and make our adult choices.
Mm-hmm.
Still stand to this day.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally. So you're with them, 200 plus scenes. Is that all with Treasure Island Media? Did you work with other studios? Okay.
I quickly get to know people as I work with them, and I say, who else do you work with? And
Yeah.
from there. But Treasure Island was my main. They listen. They put me on the map. I did a lot of scenes for them, and I really, really am grateful, and I give them credit for that. Dark Alley, the the piss videos called Dick Wad. Those and then the list goes on. Again, it's not right here, but
no, there's too much.
Some of them were just like small studios. But for me, and I will say this much. I decided, okay, let's go to the big boys. Let's go to the big production houses, right? So I did a scene with Hot House.
Yep.
And they flew me up to San Francisco one day, shot photos the next day. No, they flew up to me in San Francisco one day, did photos that day. The next day was a 9-hour shoot, and then I flew back the next day.
Oh.
And I only got paid $1,000.
And
I looked at the hours spent, and I was like, I'm better off with small studios like Treasure Island, who, for 1 or 2, maximum 2.5 hours,
yeah,
$500, $600, $700.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Because I actually don't know. So I worked with Rascal, and back in the day it was Falcon and Hot House and Colt, and like all of these studios, and there was a lot of, maybe this is what you're kind of alluding to, there was a lot of zhuzhing about it, because it was very about that like plastic porn, like it was very airbrushed and everybody looks a certain way and whatever. Treasure Island Media, not so much.
Right. So, in fact, the opposite. They wanted to be the studio that gave you realness, that gave you authenticity, that gave you, this is how you actually play on your own time.
Right.
Am I able to say cuss words?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is how we actually fuck.
Yes.
Let's not pretend that a crooked position like this is fun to fuck in.
Yeah, that you're comfortable. You're not.
So that has been my mantra as I coach newbies in the industry.
Yeah.
Authenticity reads, inauthenticity turns people off.
It does. I mean, the whole landscape has changed, and we're going to talk about OnlyFans in a little bit. Do you have, from those days, it's your early days, do you have a favorite scene partner that stands out that you remember?
Yep.
Yes, I do.
My top two, and
Oh,
it's
great.
spectrum.
Okay, who?
Cutler X, fuck the
Okay.
shit out of me, and
Oh,
it's the most authentic, real. There was no acting. And on the flip side, I played with Bay, B-A-E. I don't even know if he's in the industry, but he was this small twink, and I threw him all over my bed. Those are the two that I just go, we forgot the camera was there, and it was just unbridled.
it makes a difference in exactly what you said. That authenticity and that connection comes through the camera, and the viewer can see that.
Yep.
And it definitely makes a hotter scene.
Yeah.
You know.
And I want to say something.
Please.
Bay was really nervous, and the producer, the videographer, was like really concerned about it. But what happened is that when we connected, when we started the scene, we grabbed each other into each other so much that he was absolutely comfortable. That's what your job as a porn star and as a scene partner.
Mm-hmm.
Make your partner feel good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
I always knew the connection was important, so much so that in my contract it stated that I need to approve and this is not a diva move. I just knew that, when I have a connection with somebody off camera, then it's going to translate on camera. I want to do a good scene. I want good, material for people to, whack off to.
Well, it's product. So it's your standpoint. Yeah, quality.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So you're doing that. When does the transition then from porn studios to OnlyFans and Just for Fans happen?
Sorry.
No worries. Guzzle that monster drink.
Coughing up a lot. That's a good question. I don't even remember. I remember that OnlyFans came out. Everybody was doing OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And I am the pragmatist. I'm the wait and see guy.
Okay.
Like, y'all figure that out. I'm not convinced of it. Tell me more. Show me more. I want to see. And what was happening is that everybody was having such a hell of a time getting their profile and getting them up on the platform, the OnlyFans platform. And then came along Dominic Ford and created Just for Fans from that, what was missing. And he created a much more easy platform. And that was, I said to Boy David, by then Boy David and I were in a relationship, and I think, or maybe it was before then, but I said, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And that was when I logged in and got my platform. And basically, my mindset was this. One of the problems I have with produced porn is, and I go back and forth with this, by the way. It was like, okay, if they're going to be a dick and manipulate porn stars, I have an OnlyFans or Just for Fans. I don't need the studios anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What I discovered within a few short months, no matter what I think of them, I need the produced porn to help get my name out there, to bring customers to my...
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
A wonderful mix, this balance of that.
Mm-hmm. People ask me sometimes, they're like, oh, how do I start on OnlyFans? And I tell them that it's not easy. You have to either already be a known entity, or you need to have a platform somewhere else where you're able to promote it, because nobody's going to know about you unless you're promoting it somewhere else. You're being promoted.
That somewhere else is Twitter.
Yes, exactly.
And so,
you have to grow that following. It doesn't just happen, right?
Right. You get yourself known on Instagram and Twitter. And but I'm going to be real honest with you. People will follow you if your content is fucking good and fun and real.
Yeah.
And, so that's the thing is, I tell people, it's like, you got to start somewhere,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get it Just for Fans, make sure you got the Twitter and get the Instagram going. and that's where you start.
The
You know?
Twitter for sure, because you can have nudity on there. So back in the day, like early 2000s, when I was doing the porn, I wanted my own website, but the web was still pretty new and it wasn't common for people to have personal websites.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I had built something, well, my roommate did because he was in web design and it was very clunky and whatever. So, I mean, come OnlyFans and stuff, what a dream for somebody like me who's not really in the industry, but I still create content as sort of a side thing, and that persona still exists.
And so the platforms, the OnlyFans are just for fans, behind the scenes work for you in the sense that they build the website for you. All you got to upload it. So it's a genius idea, genius concept.
I wish I had thought of it.
You and me both.
I know.
Quick question: is the lighting okay, or should I get more to get out of the sun?
No, you look good. I didn't even. You're by a window? Is always natural lighting is always nice.
Natural light is always better.
It's always the best. I know. So yeah.
So the OnlyFans and Just for Fans had never really been, for me, porn and anything like this has never been my primary. It's my secondary. So as I like to say, I've always done just enough to keep myself relevant, to move it forward, and also to be advertising and keep my face in the public eye, because everything that I do and am inspired by career-wise requires me to be in the public eye. And so these are the things that put me out there. My legal name is Don Raver. My porn name is Ray Dalton. I have dropped the name Don 99% of the time. So for anybody wondering, don't call me Don, call me Ray.
Right.
Because simplicity and marketing, let's just keep it to one name, so there's more of a punch. It's always on the same vein. That's where I
hear that. Yeah. It hasn't been easy for me balancing the two. I mean, it's the same person, but they do different things. And so I've relegated Eddie Stone to the XXX content. And if it's not XXX, then it's Patrick.
Yeah.
I don't know if people can wrap their minds around that, but
it's not foreign. It's not a foreign concept.
No, there's a lot of people with stage names out there. So
more and more, almost everybody we know has got something going on. So yeah.
So
and also living in Los Angeles without.
Oh, thumbs up. Where did that come from? Yeah. Los Angeles. I mean, that's the birthplace of the stage name. Let's talk about the fornication parties.
What?
The what parties? So, yeah, I mean, where did the idea come from for that?
Yeah. It's actually very important. It's about community. It's about being a member of community and listening. So for 5 years, as I would be, escorting around the country, and as I'm fucking guys in adult bookstores and have tricks come over, and in the afterglow, I'm the conversationalist, and we always have little conversations. And I go, and then again, people started to say it more and more and more. Ray, I go to hook up with guys, and I state no drugs, no meth, the due diligence. The guy shows up high. And that puts them into a really uncompromising position. And 50% of the guys said, well, I went through with it quickly and sent them out the door. And the other 50% were like, oh, I just turned away at the door.
Yeah.
The thing is, why? Well, again, the mind of someone who's high, you're not actually concerned about the person you're playing with.
Yeah.
And so therefore nobody wants to knowingly, oh, I know the guy's high. I know it's going to be hard. But I'm going to do it anyhow. Nobody really wants that. They'll do that if they're desperate, or they'll do that if they have, quote unquote, they've been trying to get somebody to come over for 3 hours, and okay, fine, I'll have this guy come.
Yeah, just come. Yeah.
Yeah. After 5 years of guys saying that, towards the end of that 5 years, I was like, okay, universe, maybe you're sending me a message. What does it look like? And I was like, well, does that look like doing some sex parties? And so my first thought was, yeah, but there's a zillion sex parties out there. How are you going to set yourself apart? So number one, let's talk about the name.
Yep.
I was excommunicated from the Mennonites for fornication.
Oh, okay.
Into a winning business and a positive outlet for men. So number one, the drug free I knew from day one because that's what the community asked me for.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never relinquished or I've never considered not having that front and center.
They spoke, you listened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Job as a humanist to be able to, when I'm speaking to somebody, it's like, pay attention, listen. Well, what we know is, that's a challenge. We're human beings. We've got our own little to actually shut this down long enough to listen to you. That's the challenge.
Well, people don't listen, do they? They just talk. A lot of people.
There's
drugs
a concept that says, in fact, I'm not listening right now. That's like
yeah. That's an important piece of it, the whole drug part of it. It's listen, I had my party days, I was on meth 24/7 for a couple years, so I know what it can do. And I know the hold that it takes on people. And obviously it's not just meth. I mean, there's lots of other drugs, in the community, but it's rampant and it's a problem, and it's directly linked often to playing or having sex and stuff like that. So
I got sober in 1995, and I will say that it was slow. I didn't do mountains of meth, but that last whole year was that becoming emptier and emptier and emptier inside.
Yeah,
that was where I hit my bottom with that emptiness.
Yeah.
And like I'm done feeling just like nothing.
For me, it was I knew this was heading two ways: death or jail. And I didn't think those were very good options for me. That wasn't my fantasy that I was creating for myself. So yeah, I had to get out of that. And it's people ask me, how did I do it? And I think it's an individual journey for everybody. So it's hard there's no silver bullet, answer for that, for sure. But I'm glad that you are not on meth.
The one thing that I will make an observation, and I agree with what you're saying, is there are many paths to the, like the spokes to the wheel.
Yeah.
12-step program, AA and CMA and all those 12-step programs was my journey and my path. And it worked. It still works to this day because, number one, I worked the steps.
Yeah.
People forget. They think just going to a meeting is what it is. No, it's about actually doing the internal work, the actual steps.
Yeah.
And just an observation over the years, it's people who walk away from 12-step and then badmouth it.
Mm-hmm.
Are the people I also look at the rest of their life and I go, they don't have a life that I want.
Right.
People who can walk away from it and go, it was a great part of my journey.
Yeah.
Those are the people who can also take on other practices and other types of things to get themselves moved. I feel like the sun is moving into me.
Okay. I haven't noticed a change. You're good. Yeah.
And so that's what I say is like, I absolutely live the principles at 30 sober. I'm living the principles more than doing a checkbox. Am I doing these?
Yeah.
They have ingrained in me now.
So one of the main pillars of fornication is drug-free. That's the main point.
Right.
It's a sex party, no drugs.
Right.
What are there other pillars, other things that people can expect at a fornication party?
Don't be a
What was that?
Don't be a dick.
Okay, that's good. That's a good life rule. That's a general life rule that people could follow. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, the thing is, when we create a space for guys to be with each other, let's just say a safe space. There's other words, but one of those, they don't have to worry about someone just being a douchebag.
Right. So somebody's listening to this, they're like, okay, would I fit in at one of these parties?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the, thank you for talking about the other pillars. I was strong. Yes. All ages, races, demographics, sizes, you are welcomed. Fornication was designed for you.
Mm.
If you are someone who wants to be with other men, and yes, male identified, we love our trans men. So yes, we welcome men or male identified. And, we have the daddies, we have the twinks, we have the muscle guys, we have the, all the different, it's usually, I'm going to be honest with you, it's usually the older or the plus size guys.
Okay.
They are very familiar with going to something like this and just being pushed aside and not welcomed and just not being seen. That's the bottom line. So speaking of seen, believe it or not, the hardest demographic that I find to actually find performers, to actually, our set of performers, the bigger guys. I can find muscle guys, 10 a day, but but I'm always looking for guys that fit that bigger demographic. Now, what I say is I never settle to put somebody into a slot that doesn't match up to our standards of fun, personable, the it factor. They've got, no matter who you are, you have to love doing this and you want to be there.
So you have performers.
Yes, we do. Models, performers, porn stars, whatever term you want to use.
Yeah.
And with the whole concept of that is this: just because we're porn stars doesn't make us better than you.
Yeah.
It's the whole concept. When we say inclusion, we mean inclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does a show look like, or what can a show look like?
Well, this is where it gets interesting in conversation.
Does it get pretty seedy? Does it get a little?
I'm just gonna put it this way.
Yeah.
People say, "Do I have to take my clothes off?" And I say, "No, but you're gonna want to."
Yeah, I like that.
The environment is just so comfortable and so friendly, and yes, it is legit. It is. We're not there exchanging recipes.
Yeah. Do we have go-go dancing? Do we have got stripping? We have live sex shows. Yes. All of that. Are you not allowed to say?
Let's put it this way. One of my mantras for me personally, and if I'm running a fornication, there's a little overflow there, a lot. I say to people, it's like, if you don't touch, I'm offended.
Right.
So we come from the live a life of yes, because we're raised in a society of no. So let's talk about that for a second. One of the successes of fornication, and why I'm so committed to what I do and my various things in the adult industry, as well as the businesses that I do, which are sex positive, is that we're in an era of dumbing down sex. There's less sex occurring. The younger generation doesn't see the value in sex. They don't see the spiritual nature of sex. Well, where does that spirituality come from? It comes from, in order for me to engage in penetrative sex, not being a side, and I'm talking the next level called penetrative sex, fucking. I have to be vulnerable. I have to be intimate with you. I have to assess you to see if you're going to hurt me or not hurt me. That is level of connection and intimacy that social media and everything being online so much, it reduces the in-person practice. It's simple practice, being connecting with people. And so there's this dumbing down, and this is why you've done a lot of talk about bathhouses. This is why there's less people going to bathhouses. You know,
Yeah, because they're online.
they're online. They're online. And there's other reasons, but for the sake of this conversation, that's one of the components.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so committed to doing these types of workshops, and, sex parties and having an adult bookstore to basically say, guess what? Men still exist.
Yeah.
We're alive, functioning human beings. We still have needs, just like we did a million years ago. What does it look like in 2024 and beyond?
Yeah.
There's an evolutionary process, but that need, the basic fundamental human need to really get connected with another human being, still exists. Now, here's the thing. You have a choice. You don't have to connect. You don't have to be vulnerable. You don't have to fuck. But then they're going to live a life missing those components and those qualities, which I say ultimately create empathy. And somebody who's going to volunteer at a nonprofit organization. Somebody's going to go next door and help their neighbor. That's what helps build character in our society.
I hear the life coach coming out in you.
Well,
wise words, Ray.
It's what I've observed.
Yeah.
I pay attention to people. It's what fulfills me. I'm driving through Kentucky, and I'm driving through Mississippi, and I'm driving through Missouri and California every day of my life. And I look at the people at the 7-Eleven, at the gas station. I pay attention.
People don't usually.
Well, the other part is that we're too busy.
Yeah.
And
you got your nose in your phone, so.
Exactly.
So
fornication. So I always like to bring in Boy David in this conversation, because I had met Boy David in 2016, and then in I believe it's 2017, where I came up with the concept of fornication, and we started these together.
So for people that don't know, tell us who Boy David is.
Yes.
Okay.
Boy David and I met in Key West, so therefore Key West is a special place for me.
Oh.
And we started to talk. We fucked. We started to talk, and it turned into a once-a-week phone call, and then it turned into daddy-boy relationship. Now, I want to talk about that for 2 seconds. When the conversation came up, it took us 3 weeks to get to the point of agreeing to this daddy-boy relationship, because what I said is, well, guess what? Daddy-boy relationships, or relationships, period.
Yeah. Right.
To the individuals.
Yeah.
It's not his way. What is our way? What does our dynamic look like? And that took 3 weeks of homework, writing assignments, conversations. And after 3 weeks, we both said, yes, we're in. And the reason that's key is that, life has shit thrown at us, right?
Yep.
And we did have that thrown at us, but never once did I. And it took him, again, because of his life circumstances, it took him a little longer to warm up to it and really believe it. I immediately stepped over and I'm like, I'm in. Boom, go.
Yeah.
But not once was our relationship ever in jeopardy. Not one time.
And now you guys work together.
What's that?
Now you guys are working together.
Well, the thing is, he's living in Atlanta with his husband of 30 years.
Ooh.
And I'm traveling the country. His husband worked for Southwest. he's his husband. He can fly to come see me anytime he wants.
Oh, nice.
Every time I was in Atlanta, I stayed with them. I slept, they slept in separate bedrooms, and I was part of the family.
Yeah.
And I became, and then we went on yearly vacations to Key West. Family.
Don't you love these gay relationships where we can make our own rules?
Well, I'm gonna expand that
Yeah, please.
to all genders and sexualities.
Mm-hmm.
Of that, the reason we as gays are more predominant in that because we're already not the norm per se.
Well, that's right. Our starting point.
Yeah. It takes more for a hetero relationship to step outside that norm.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
It's an optics thing.
For sure.
But yes, I do love them. And I love that we have we are taking more of the steps to actually create relationships that actually work.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you then, would you say you're in a polyamorous relationship, or there's no labels?
Nope. Well,
Okay.
no, daddy boy relationship. My relationship was not with his husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's with him.
But husband was family.
Yes.
So the extension of that. So what I just kind of encapsulate in it for a second here. Well, first of all, let's talk about fornication. We started on fornication.
Yeah.
I Lauderdale all the time. Chad Bush is a bartender at the Ramrod, and I don't remember what year. Yeah, he had already started to do Pig Week, and I went to Chad and I'm like, "Hey, Chad," because I would stay at his house a lot. I was like, "Can I use your house for a fornication party that I'm starting?" And he said, "Yeah, working Thursday nights. I get off at 10. Just be done by 10. I don't want you there. Just be sure that you're done. Everybody's gone by the time we get home.
And clean up. Yeah.
And so we started in Chad Bush's house. After a year, we on that, and then we were in Leather for about a year, and then a little more. And then COVID happened, and then post-COVID, we are now at 321 Slammer, and we love that place. So I wanted to give you a trajectory of where that is.
Yeah.
And then we've grown to many cities. At one point we had grown too big, and I was unable to manage them all. So I scaled it down to the ones that are more successful, and now we're in a new phase, which I'll tell you in 2 seconds. But I just want to go through the cities that we're currently at.
Yeah, for sure.
Fort Lauderdale, DC, Houston, Dallas, and Chicago. Now, those are basically every other month. Like in Texas, we're every other month. So it goes back and forth from Dallas to Houston, Dallas to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans, we do Southern Decadence once a year. We sell out at 200 tickets. Why do we sell out at 200? It's not capacity. It's you can't monitor drug-free more than 200 people.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just the number that I came up with, and I still to this day. Yeah. The other one that that we do is the Timberfell, which we'll get more into in a second here. Timberfell is a campground outside Knoxville, Tennessee. That's a 4-day men's weekend, and holy fucking shit.
Well, that one's a little bit different because you're outdoor. I mean, there's an outdoor element.
Totally. And all being with each other for an extended period of time brings about a whole different world of connection. So there is that. So where we are currently, and I want to get more into what is Fornication Fan Fest at Timberfell, but where we're at currently is Houston was failing. I, being on the road, wasn't able to put enough focus into the local community in Houston. And failing. And just, in other words, I wasn't making profit. First of all, none of them are paying the bills. We're making I'm not getting rich off of fornication. Quite the opposite. About every third one, I actually lose money on. So
interesting.
That's why. So me and my business advisor Dave, we talked, and we both came up with the idea at the same time. Let's give Houston to Matt Coven. He lives in Houston.
Right.
And I said, if anybody can make it, if anybody can make it sing in Houston, he'll be able to make it sing.
Right.
Well, from going from 50 tickets at my last party there, his first party he had over 80 tickets. His second party he had 108 tickets.
Mm.
So
How much are tickets? Does it vary by city? It depends.
Oh, very much so. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: what we're seeing is that you have to have local people promoting the local party.
Right.
So now we're franchising.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Great.
Yeah. So
You're too big.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Who
That's
knew?
a nice problem to have, right? Yeah.
So now we're franchising, and I'm actually doing interviews with people in San Francisco and Portland and Providence, Rhode Island, and New York, and I'm talking to somebody in Chicago and DC as well. I'm keeping Fort Lauderdale to myself.
Yeah. Well, you should. You get first dibs.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm keeping New Orleans and Timberfell.
Right. Those are special.
Now, one of the reasons for that is because I realized I'm so busy with all of my work that I actually don't have the time and the bandwidth to actually do the next phase of my professional life, which is opening a sex club or a bookstore.
Right.
So I'm creating the bandwidth and the space. And how dare we be surprised when the universe starts to give us, when we actually change course and actually create space,
Yeah.
coming. So the opportunities, I'm just going to say this. There's a new development that happened even just last weekend that I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but it's the probable next step for me. And it's very exciting.
Well, I'm going to have you back on to talk about that another time.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Let's finish with talking about Timberfell.
Yeah.
So why is that one so special for you?
Timberfell fulfills on so many of the check boxes in what creates fulfillment in a human being, and also specifically within myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, we have workshops, we have sex parties, we have porn stars. So the thing is, Fornication Fan Fest is a combination of porn stars, content creators, and fans, general public,
right,
together and just being there for the entire 4 days.
Yeah.
There were some content creators said they came away with between 12 and 15 scenes over the weekend.
Woo.
And that,
I'm tired just thinking about it.
What's that?
I'm tired just thinking about it.
Well, yeah, there is that factor. But the other component is, also I brought in gangbang guys to come in and just, again, it's a partnership. I'm about collaborations. I'm about partnerships. It's not all about me.
Yeah.
That's Fornication and Fornication Fan Fest and these things that I do. It's not about me. And that's the one thing, the message I really want to send to anybody who's wondering how to live a fulfilled life. Get it in your head. It's not about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm providing, now I have to take care of myself. My needs are met. But in so doing, it's all about everyone intermingling. And that's where fulfillment comes from.
Ray, I could talk to you forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there for today. And then we're going to have you back on to talk about your latest project, hopefully very soon.
Okay.
Yeah?
That sounds good.
I'm going to put all of the links down below. So if somebody wants to go online, they go to Fornication Fest, the website, and they'll see what's coming up, how they can get involved, and all the information will be there. I'll also put all your socials down in the description under this video too. Is there any parting words you want to say? Life coach? No pressure.
Well, one of the things that, is I've already mentioned, one is life is not all about me, but the other part is if nobody talks about it, how are you expected to know?
Right.
That's the thing. That's what we talk about. That's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. Let's actually help each other through whatever we're going through.
I love that, because we have to support each other.
Exactly.
Ray,
Exactly.
thank you so much.
Thank
We'll
you,
see
Pat.
you soon. And for the rest of you, I will see you in the next episode of Queerly Up.